episode of the day, which is, give me a second, my thing's all weird. Maya Echo, which is it's a very traumatic episode, but very eye opening. In a flashback with her childhood, we see Maya with a slingshot, and we see the woodpecker in the distance. She hits the woodpecker with the slingshot. It goes down. She goes back to her mom and says that the woodpecker fell and had an accident. Her mom automatically, that's some bullshit, bro. What'd you do? I didn't mean to hit it. Come on.
Oh,
Okay, I hit
I could hit it.
it. I'm sorry. Don't take me to jail. Like, all right, no, chill out. Chill out. So then we get revealed of Taloa's power, which is healing. And we don't know if it's regular healing or cosmic healing or other. We don't know, but it's a power that can heal. All right. Then post we see that they take the bird, they heal it, they take the bird and let it back in the wild. While this is all happening, Biscuits, after running away from Chula throughout the whole series, because Chula at one point saw Biscuits and the truck was all busted.
Mm.
He's like, oh shit, you see me rolling. They hate it. Just get the hell out of here. He and the last episode, in the fourth one, he goes to Junkers, like, I'm gonna find what I need to find to fix the truck and to help everybody. So he's in, and again, we'll talk about the destiny of Biscuits. Biscuits messages Maya that says that Bonnie and Chula was kidnapped because while Chula was going to the post office, Fisk went to the post office and just avertedly went up to her. Hey, what's going on? Oh, you know sign language too? I know sign language too. Hey, what's it? And then snatched her.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, before this happened, Maya had left. Maya was in Roxxon. Shout out to Roxxon, who's been in almost every Marvel video and everything else.
Mhm.
And a nice little Easter egg that if the future, we get to see the CEO of Roxxon. Google him. He's a super villain who kind of faces like a Minotaur. Again.
Yep.
So as she's eating in this Roxxon gas station, which I guess would be a Wawa's in a sense. He's laughing. You know what it is.
Shout out to Wawa.
That's a Wawa.
Yes. Best sandwiches.
There you go. So Woodpecker is knocking on the wood and everything else. We also find out that, and the historical fact that we looked it up, the Choctaws would train the woodpeckers to send out messages in times of danger. So you would tell the bird like, "Oh, tell something bad's happening, go," and it would just go, and then you kind of, that's a nice little messaging system.
Yeah.
Again, a lot more smarter than most people now. So she sees that, and her first instinct was to get on the bike, drive her ass all the way back to the house, gun out, ready to go. And when she got into the room, she saw her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here is the question I ask you before we continue. Now, we have a debate here.
Mm.
I think that this was the real mother. This was the real mother, but through time, she popped out. She thinks it's spiritual. What are your thoughts? Because again, her powers is based on her ancestry of her her family bloodline.
Right.
And she can technically use the powers of every single person of that bloodline. She used it in the skating rink in the accuracy with Tuklo.
Mm-hmm.
She go on.
No, I'm just acknowledging the bloodline.
Yes.
That's all.
She used it with the accuracy of Tuklo. She used the viciousness of Chafa. So this is what I mean by time-wise. In Marvel standards, she has the power, just like her mom, in an afterlife type of way, to contact all her ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty badass that her mom can contact Chafa and Chafa can contact Maya from a time standpoint, memory-wise.
Remember, I wanted to go now back to the first. I didn't want to jump break any jump off of any of the timeline. In the beginning of the storyline, when her father tells her, "You're gonna have to learn how to work, be in two different worlds,
between two worlds, yeah,
two worlds," and we also see that at this per moment here, like time and space. Also, we've seen that also in the Black Panther when they go in and he gets to see the future, or the past Black Panthers, T'Challa with his father, grandfathers, and ancestors. That when I saw that part, it reminded me of that of the Black Panther. The mother is there in time and space to have that conversation with her, and I like the fact that what comes out of this moment at that house was just signifying a lot of power, and we've seen a transformation, like the episode from Maya #Echo on that moment, and it's going to play out there. That's the beginning of the transformation. I really enjoy that part there to see the mother, and I said to myself, she is there. And it felt like you said, they went back in time, and it just brought me back to Black Panther. That Marvel could do that because we've seen it before. So and then again, be able to go into two different worlds. I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. It wasn't like, this is far fetched or totally left, jumped the shark. It was consistent with the series.
That's true. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think totally lost my train of thought. I think it's kind of like, in terms of the time and space aspect, it's kind of almost parallel. That's how I'm seeing it. Like, in terms of she can jump between two worlds, like she can jump into that kind of spiritual realm where her ancestors live, and that exists like across all different cultures. So like,
right,
obviously there's it's cool to think about, but in terms of we were actually debating, like, when we were watching that episode, that like that scene kind of felt out of place. But now that I'm thinking about it, like, that was the first time that she listened to her intuition and listened to her ancestors. And so it's almost like that expanded her connection and allowed her to see her mother in that way for the first time. So that actually makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, it's true. And this is another aspect that could be bring up for later. And this connects to Moonlight. As the giant hippo explained, that there are many different types of dimensions of afterlife, all bleeding together, but we can never really see it. It's been confirmed that these are beings from a pocket dimension. They're not Christians, so they don't see Jesus. So therefore, wherever they go, they're going to go someplace else, which I want to see that in the future. And that's also with the Black Panther thing. Only people that take the herb can be connected to the afterlife. No one else can except the people of that specific thing. Just like in Moon Knight, if you are an Egyptian descendant, only you can go to here. That kind of tells me, another question for you, Kevin. If they're from a pocket dimension, do you think there was a pocket God or a pocket afterlife? Because I think there is an afterlife for them, but we don't know.
We don't know. So many pocket reality realms. We don't know. We that's the great question, and that's the what if question that we've been talking on since we've been doing these streams on not just Marvel, but the what if. What So that's a great question there, and for the first time we've seen Maya's mother's gift, which is when she heals the woodpecker. So we're starting to see that there. Now you start asking yourself, is this from the native tribe, or is this Marvel giving these gifts? That's also another question that came up at this point.
That's something that we're going to find out, because again, I think this all connects to the multiversal war and how they're going to try to bring this all together. Because I said this in the last reviews.
You did.
The first Avengers movie that's coming out, everyone's going to die. Everyone's going to die. So it makes sense in the second one, everyone's in their own respective afterlives, and they have to try to bring everyone together to get out. That's the only way Kang can control time. He can't control afterlives. He doesn't control spirituality. That's the one power he never really understood, and they can never get. And you know who owns that power? Doom. Doom owns a lot of spiritual power, but we'll talk about that another time in our lives. As you said before, Taloa heals her trauma, but then kind of explain. It's like, here, I healed your leg. So let me explain to you how I healed your leg, so you don't get crazy about it. Okay, so she got healed, and they went back to the accident again, and it kind of explained to her that it was going to happen. You gotta let go of this anger, let go of this trauma, because this is the only way you can be healed and be free. And it worked. At the same time, Chula, in her very cool way, made a ceremonial Choctaw warrior armor with the hummingbird symbol, the same symbol that Chafa had in the beginning, and the snake and everything else. Very beautiful. As this is happening, Biscuits and Billy Jack taking care of the parking lot, vigilando, and Zane and his crew and his RV comes in, like, and he tells him, like, Okay, if you're not a vendor, you gotta park over there. Yeah, I'm just gonna park in there, colonizer, and just go in there, do what I gotta do. And he parks in there. It's like, okay, well, fuck. But I did like that he called Henry and was like, these nojolos, which is chalked up for white people. These nojolos are doing some things. I don't like this. This is all crazy. I'm gonna like Uncle Henry asked him, do you have a gun? He's like, I got something better than a gun. And he does. We'll get to that later. As this is happening, Maya locates Fisk. And this is very like Bond villain. So I didn't notice that too the second time I watched it. Fisk is standing, Maya standing side by side, right? Like standing in front of each other. And then fucking Fisk does the little thing here, pop, and then the two lights in the background turn on, and it's freaking Bonnie and Chula. I'm like, what the hell? You watch too many Bond movies, man. What the fuck? Okay, cool. Really weird. As this is happening, she gets a premonition from her ancestors saying that you can echo. And again, Tulua did explain that you can echo all our powers into you. That's your power. Of your bloodline, you can go to each woman, each warrior, and use it. Not woman, warrior. I want to use warrior more in an aspect. And she does a nice little like pose, and then you see all of everybody coming out of there, all 5 of them, which I did love that. And then she had the added power of expanding her power to her bloodline, her cousin, and her grandma, which was been confirmed that they had the same power level as Captain America. So imagine Chula punching a guy like Captain America. It's like, oh, like that's just World War II would have been a lot more faster. Now, as that's happening, they're fighting back and forth. Kingpin's like, I'm gonna axe handle you, Macho Man style. And this is the part I didn't notice until now. She heals his trauma, right? He gets down on his knees, freaked out. So instead of explaining it like his mom did, like her mom did, like I'm just gonna do the visual version, and then she went inside his mind. We get a scene of a room of Kingpin where he's shaking like a kid, and he hears not the same actress that was in Daredevil, but a similar thing of the father beating the wife, and the son freaking out and everything else. She tells him to let go. I know it's traumatizing. She tells him to let go. He goes under his bed, and he had the hammer ready to go. He says, this is what I have to do. She explains that you just have to let go. You are my uncle, which kind of makes it he is part of the family of Maya. Yeah. Not by bloodline, but by name. So she might actually have the power to call everyone their uncle or sisters. And that's probably could be a way that the Choctaw energy can be spread apart.
Yeah, well, that kind of ties into the powwow scene, which I don't think we've gotten there yet.
Well, and that's before the powwow, before the fight. Echo was in the powwow, and they were doing the circle, the counterclockwise circle, and everything else.
Yeah, and so that what I mean is a tying back to that is she's realizing so far in the series when you hear her heartbeat, she just hears her own heartbeat, and in this moment you hear her connecting to her community, like, and realizing that they're one. So yeah, I think it does kind of extend to this. It extends outside of just bloodline. Like you are family, at the end of the day. So I did like that she called Fisk her uncle. Like, I don't hate you. You're not a monster. Like, you are still my family.
You are my uncle, not by bloodline, but by name, and by name of the Choctaw Nation. It means a lot. I did like that. As this is all happening, Zane opened up his cooler and takes out a rocket launcher, which had a Capri Sun, had a juice box. He's an all-around person, whatever. At the same time, Henry sees this. Henry tells Biscuits, like, there's some guys over there, take it out. And this is the part that I say that the fate of Destiny. Destiny went the way of Baron Zemo because he unofficially and allegedly and supposedly murdered two groups of people in 2 vans. Because he comes out in a monster truck, and as a monster truck now, because apparently he went inside the junkyard, found Optimus Prime, and then got some upgrades, came out and crushed the 2 vans. There was no one else coming out of those vans, so I think he just murdered about maybe 12 people. So yeah, he's a psychopath. Just like that. Biscuits is the true hero and murderer of this world. Now, as this is happening, Fisk is still going through his mind. We don't see him visually accepting to let go of his trauma, but we know that his trauma's gone because Echo healed it.
Mhm.
That's Taloa's power. And he gets out and says, "What did you do? What did you do?" Grabbed her hands, and instead of fighting or added like vámonos, she got in the car and with a scared look at his face, like a scared, like he lost something he never thought he'd never lose. He gets in his car, doesn't want to fight with Echo anymore, doesn't want to fight with Maya anymore, and has accepted that he has lost Maya and can never get her back, and has moved on.
Mhm.
As this is happening, Maya helps Bonnie. Maya helps everything else. Biscuits murdered 12 people in 2 vans. Henry silenced with a silencer, shot Zane. And everyone thought it was fireworks. That's the part I didn't like. So there were fireworks, and then once the first rocket launcher went out, blew up, everyone's like, "Oh, this is the fireworks part? Okay, cool.
Yeah, they thought it was fireworks.
Fireworks. I'm like, where did the fireworks come from?"
Yeah. One important line to note though is when Maya says like, I'm their legacy, not yours to Fisk. I thought that was really
Yes, that's true. Yeah,
That
is
was
true.
excellent.
That's the point. That's a good point. Now, at the end of it all, they do the Fast and Furious ending where everyone's in the backyard and have Coronas, product placement, and they're just like all family, and she gets in there all happy.
Mhm.
Post-credit scene. Fisk is just like, I'm just defeated. He tells his assistant, get a meeting with all the families. We're gonna have to fix this mess. Now, the mess that he's talking about that I didn't know until later was the mess that Hawkeye did, and the mess of all these new vigilantes now. Because what Hawkeye did was make 5 LARPers into freaking vigilantes, and now you have Miss Marvel, and now you have Spider-Man, and now you have Hawkeye. So you got about 6 or 7, and Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Daredevil, and Crime Lord Luke Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, Crime Lord Luke Cage.
Correct.
Okay, we'll get to season 2 when we get there. That's the point I want to put out there.
Mhm.
So that's a problem. So he's calling the family. At the same time this is happening, a news reporter, same news reporter that was in the Avengers, same news reporter that's been in almost all the news in Marvel, is explaining about the mayor candidacy. It can be up for anybody. You need a bare knuckle fighter. Kingpin is a bare knuckle fighter, a guy who can take charge and everything else. And it ends there. Now, before I continue, the Easter egg of that was that in the Daredevil series, he wanted to be kind of like that, but he didn't want to be the mayor. He just wanted to control crime,
Mhm.
and he just wanted to do it his way without any consequences of murder and everything else.
Mhm.
Now that he assumedly lost his trauma and has been cured,
Which we debated heavily about.
Right.
What is your thoughts on the post-credit and that this leads up to Daredevil Born Again, which they're going to adapt the Kingpin for Mayor storyline?
Right. He does win the mayor, if I believe so. He becomes a mayor. That's the foreshadow part of it. When back to Kingpin, I don't think he got cured of his or healed at that time. I think he suppressed it. He recognized that I'm defeated because you're not my I can't heal my trauma through you.
Yeah.
And I think that's where that stopped. And that's what she says, I'm not your legacy, I'm their legacy, because he wanted to heal his trauma by grooming her and trying to do good through her to try to wipe out that stint of killing his father. I think that's why he let her go and said, you know what, I'm defeated. I can't, I don't think he accepted the full healing there at that, because I think he would have went through that door if he did. Because he just went through there. Now my question in that healing, was there telepathically communicating, or was it did they just that was no question I had on that, with the way the healing and the communication aspect between them. I don't believe there was signing between that and that moment.
No, they weren't.
No.
They weren't. He just looked at her literally like she didn't talk.
She
Okay.
like signed. There was like a telepathic understanding. Yeah, like she was kind of in his head, I think.
Yeah. Again, she has this is time. This is based, her powers is based on time, but also based on memory.
Well, I think this particular power was her mother's healing power.
Yeah.
And in order to heal his mind, she had to essentially
heal his heart.
Not even that. She had to essentially like help him transmute that pain. So like her being in his head, and I'm saying this from a very like